Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, John Dye, the Executive Director of Skylight, an initiative of the Radiant Foundation. So are you looking to be part of a community of people who are actively improving their well-being and spirituality? Well, today we'll learn how you can do that with Skylight. So John Dye currently serves as Executive Director of Skylight.org, an initiative of the Radiant Foundation. Skylight's mission is to help young adults live happier and more fulfilling lives through their personal relationship with God. John has been a longtime participant in social media and has helped numerous companies effectively incorporate social media and influencer outreach tactics into their overall marketing strategy. He enjoys experiencing how technology creates connection, camaraderie, and compassion between individuals. John also serves on the board of I Care for Kids, a nonprofit that helps children receive much-needed eyeglasses and vision correction to help them succeed in school and life. So welcome to the show, John Dye.
Thanks, Marianne. Good to be here with you.
Well, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about Skylight. So how did this even come into being?
Great question. One thing we've noticed, and this even goes pre-pandemic, although I believe the pandemic exacerbated the situation, we just saw that young people, they deal with issues like anxiety, with sleep, with stress. And part of that is just growing up. Let's be honest. Part of that is just part of aging into adulthood. But we have noticed, and this is Jonathan Haidt actually just came out with a book called The Anxious Generation, which kind of really puts an exclamation point on this, which is, again, the rising generation, the younger generation are dealing with some things that previous generations have not had to deal with in the same amplitude. And I mentioned those sleep issues, anxiety, self-esteem, loneliness. And we believe that there is a way to address those. Everybody's looking for the magic sauce, so to speak, or the secret sauce. But we believe as we look at what holistic health looks like, part of that has to be spiritual health. We often talk about mental health. We talk about physical health. We talk about emotional health. We believe spiritual health, a connection with a higher power, a creator, has to be part of that.
So what is Skylight? It just is such an intriguing idea that you have.
Yeah, so if you go to skylight.org, you can actually experience it. All of those mental health maladies that I just mentioned, including sleeplessness, anxiety, stress, we believe that just like you give your body exercise to get that in better shape and make it more resilient, you can do the same from a spiritual perspective. So we have what we call spiritual practice or exercises available for free of charge on skylight.org. It's a web app. It's also an iOS app or Android app. You can download those as well. But basically think of 550 plus exercises in the forms of prayers, meditations, affirmations, spiritual movement, spiritual music. So spiritual movement, we consider yoga and similar types of movement, but things that help you center yourself, build resilience, and eventually, the hope is connect to a higher power. When we consider that equation of a holistic, healthy life, one of those constants we believe that it exists in that equation is connection with a higher power. And we believe that these exercises give you the strength and the resilience and help you center yourself so that you can perform at your very best and be truly healthy.
So what was the inspiration for creating Skylight?
Yeah, the main inspiration behind this was just the fact that many people at the organization, it's a nonprofit called the Radiant Foundation. One of the goals is to increase spirituality or help people understand the importance of spirituality in culture, in individual life, et cetera, et cetera. And so we have some very kind donors who, once we identified one of the issues with this younger generation, we call them Gen Zennials, Gen Z plus the younger millennials, we proposed this is a way that we could reach out to this generation and give them something meaningful and relevant to, young adults 18 to 35 that they could do to help them along their path.
Now, was there some type of a personal journey that you've had that has really made you interested in Skylight?
Yeah, great question. I've personally been on my own spiritual journey, and that is one thing that I want to say as well. We respect every spiritual journey. This is regardless of faith tradition, religious belief, spiritual palate. We believe strongly that connection with a higher power is important. And me personally, I've had this. I grew up in a very religious home, a Christian home, but I believe everyone comes to a crossroads where they've got to ask themselves if their life is better with God in it. And what I mean by that is there everyone really has to know for themselves that there is power, there is hope, there is healing with a higher power on your side, with a creator on your side. And so I personally went through that journey myself. Had a chance to serve a service mission in a foreign country, learn a new language, and assist the people in a foreign country with multiple things from a service perspective, and also share my beliefs and the hope and the happiness that I receive from those beliefs. And really, that is the impetus for my being an executive director at Skylight now. Is I still have this desire to share the hope and happiness that I've found with others. And I know that journey is different for everyone. And again, as I said, my goodness, I just believe having a greater power in your life brings so much resilience, so much centeredness, and so much hope and healing to an individual.
So, can you explain the different options that are available for people once they go to Skylight?
Yeah, so if you have an opportunity to jump into skylight.org, one of the first things that you'll see, it's designed. One of the first things we hear from people is it's designed for the rising generation. It's very aesthetically pleasing. The colors are progressive, and there's a lot of good things happening there. We break it though up into each of those major areas that I mentioned before: sleep, anxiety, stress, loneliness, and self-esteem. So if people are having issues in those areas, and by the way, the biggest area that we're helping people with that they come to Skylight for assistance is sleep. Number two is anxiety. Those are by far the largest two issues that people are dealing with. But if you click on those playlists, you can actually find some of these exercises or practices that I mentioned. Most of those are 3 to 5 minutes in length, so they're not too long. A lot of people worry about time, and I totally understand that. And this gives them an opportunity to do some things. If they can focus in on that practice for 3 to 5 minutes, it does make a difference in their day. We've actually had the former chief science officer at Calm work on our project as well, so that we could prove out the direction we were heading was important, was actually making a difference in the lives of young people. And so again, it's very similar to, I hate to say, a TikTok or a social media platform, but we have vertical videos, so very similar to some of the social media platforms. And we give people an opportunity to do this, to look introspectively, and really to stretch their spiritual legs, for lack of a better term, and connect with a higher power.
That is so important. And, I have to say, I was really surprised by the loneliness piece that you have in the app. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, we're hyper connected in the world that we live in today. I remember when I was brought up, it was so different, right? And everyone is connected online to the smartest devices at all times during the day. And because of that, that connectivity is great in many ways. It's been a boon, and it's also been a bane, or not so great for society in some ways, right? There's being interconnected brings so many good things with it, but it also causes people to sometimes be involved in this virtual world too long. And because of that, I think some of our social skills and some of the real life skills that are needed and necessary for a successful life, sometimes they're overlooked. And we spend so much time in the spiritual world. But I will say this, the same device, your phone, your mobile device, that causes so many of these issues, anxiety, loneliness, I believe is actually one of the tools that can be utilized to combat many of those same things that are caused by that device. Meaning, it's not necessarily the device that's bad, it's really how we spend our time. We choose to spend our time in different ways. And I'm not here to vilify social media. I think so many good things happen from social media. And there's also the other side, the fear of missing out, the FOMO piece. Uh, Looking at other people's lives and what they post on social media and comparing that against your life, their best hits album, so to speak, versus your everyday life. And a person can't compete, right? If you see your friends posting from Hawaii or these exotic destinations and you're wherever you are in the daily grind of things, it's really hard sometimes to think, wow, I do have incidents like that and experiences like that. But that fear of missing out makes a difference. And so, again, being able to say, I have value as an individual. And again, there's so much that Calm and Headspace, love those apps that they do from a mental health perspective. We're unique and different, A, in the generation we're trying to reach, and B, our take on how we can truly ground ourselves and connect with higher powers and creators.
So, how is Skylight different from other wellness organizations?
If I consider our difference, we're very aligned in many ways. From a wellness perspective, specifically a mental wellness perspective, we, I believe, have similar asks and similar aims. Our goal is to help people overcome these mental health maladies. But I would say what sets us apart really is that spiritual aspect. When we consider the major points of holistic wellness, including physical wellness, mental wellness, emotional wellness, spiritual wellness isn't often discussed. I would say it's almost taboo in some circles, if not many circles. And we believe that is such an important piece. We want to bring that to the forefront and say all of these other aspects of being holistically well are needed and necessary. And one thing we can't forget about is spiritual wellness. Again, what I love about this is we're not prescriptive in what you believe. We just say that this is important that you, regardless of faith tradition, find that creator, that higher power, and connect to that power, because there is true wellness in that connection.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's so important that we also focus on the spiritual aspect of well being.
And one other interesting aspect, Marianne, that I'd like to bring up is, as these Gen Zennials, these youth ages 18 to 35, as they continue to mature. So if we took a snapshot of individuals 18 to 35 today, and as they continue to mature and go to the end of the decade, that group will make up 1/3 of our workforce here in the United States. So 33%, approximately, give or take a percentage or two, will make up the workforce by 2030. And think about the not only individual and familial ramifications if we can't get in front of some of these issues, these mental health maladies, but also the societal, the occupational, the cultural issues that will arise if we can't get in front of this. So it's needed and necessary to address this and proverbial nip it in the bud if possible, as soon as possible, so that it not only not impacts individuals and families, but cultures and the United States in general. That's where the majority of this research has come from. But we know that it's happening in the UK and in Europe and other developed countries. There's still research being done on other countries, but we know that it's following a similar trend in most first world or developed countries.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with John Dye in regards to the new app and community, Skylight. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
It's one thing to become attached to your perfect home, but what do you do when that home becomes attached to you? A family in dire need of a fresh start, a mysterious house tied to the past. Buried deep within the foundation of the old Far Hill Manor lies a centuries-old secret. Dark forces or something stronger just waiting to be discovered. Caretaker, a supernatural thriller by breakout authors R.J. Halpert.
Hey, pay attention, everybody. Amy Vaughn and myself, Dutch Mendenhall, are hosting an event. Have you ever felt like the wealthiest in America play by a different rule book? Even if you earn well, make money, invest wisely, educate yourself, there is an invisible barrier. It separates you from the financial security enjoyed by America's elite. The economic landscape changes every day. The wealthy elite know how to stay ahead of it because we play by a different rule book. At Invest Well Summit, we'll share all the plays, and we're making it to win. Spots are going to sell out fast at InvestWell Summit, so get your butt to investwellsummit.com and secure your seat now.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with special guest John Dye in regards to the new app and community, Skylight. What are some of the other trends that you're seeing that Skylight is really helping with?
Yeah, as we look at the trends that Skylight is helping with, we do see, number one, that it is doing the job that we set it out to do. As we consider all of these anxiety and sleep and other things, we are making a difference in the lives of young people and those that utilize the product. The other thing that I would say, we are part of what we call a Radiant Foundation. So we're part of a nonprofit foundation, 501c3, and we have a sister initiative that we call Faith and Media Initiative. And the goal there, it kind of ties into what we're trying to do from a Skylight perspective. What they're trying to do is show the importance of spirituality at a cultural level, meaning we often, when we look at culture at large or media at large, we find that belief, religion, spirituality is often maligned in journalism and in major things that we see. For example, you see so-and-so priests or imams or pastors behaving badly, right? That gets an inordinate amount of attention when, a small percentage of a population does something that they shouldn't do. We also see that the newsrooms are shrinking, and so there can't be fact-checking or reaching out to people of certain belief traditions before things are printed or aired. And so our goal with Faith and Media is really to address the cultural aspects and the importance of spirituality in daily lives. And what we're trying to do at Skylight is talk about the individual, start from the individual perspective or bottom up, help people individually. And Faith and Media is kind of doing top down, so to speak, right, from a cultural perspective. And so those two together, we hope both from a cultural and individual perspective, we can make a difference and show the importance of spirituality, God-centered spirituality, or creator-centered spirituality in people's lives.
So, how does Skylight view the relationship between science and spirituality?
Great question. We do believe that both are needed and necessary, and they're both congruent. I will say this too: we rely on science to prove out some of our hypotheses, whether we're going down the right road in the way that we're approaching these topics with this specific audience. From a larger perspective, we believe those two are aligned. We believe eventually everything dovetails into truth, ultimate truth, and being able to leverage and utilize science appropriately is very important as we look at creating those relationships with deity or a higher power. So again, from a science-based perspective, research-based perspective, that's important. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. We're less prescriptive because we are not a religion. We're not a belief set. What we're trying to do, I like to liken it to Grand Central Station. Some people, that's an end destination, but many people, that's just where they shuttle and continue their journey, right? Many people congregate there, but then they're shuttled on to other routes until they reach their final destination. I believe that's what Skylight is we are just encouraging, we're a cheerleader for the people on their spiritual journey as they're figuring out what their own personal journey looks like, and spirituality from a belief system, a religious tradition, or wherever that takes them. We just want to share the importance of being able to figure that out for themselves, but we do not want to be prescriptive about it.
Well, to piggyback on that, so how does Skylight ensure its programs are accessible and inclusive to all different people?
Great question, because that is one of our goals. We have some very kind individuals and corporations that have given monetarily to us. And because of that, we can make the product free of charge to anyone and everyone. Now, I will say this, just like any other, for lack of a better term, startup, because we only have been around a little over 3 years, you have to figure out, hey, what does phase one in growth look like? What does phase two in growth look like? We have started out mainly US centric, English speaking. That being said, June of this year, June of 2024, we will have our beta in Spanish available, where we'll have over 100 exercises in Spanish available. And we plan then to continue to add additional languages. Many countries outside the United States speak English. So we think we can hit, for example, India, the Philippines, and others who largely speak English. But we also want to be sensitive. It's not just the language, it's also the culture. And so we want to be culturally appropriate for the places that we go. So we're looking for contributors and creators from many different faith traditions, cultures, and just ethnic backgrounds that can help us with this. So again, we are, I would say, at the relative impetus of what Skylight can become. But as we look at that, we want to keep it accessible. We want to keep it free of charge. We want to help people regardless of where they are geographically in the world, because we feel that strongly about our mission.
So I understand that there is guidance and mentorship in Skylight. So what does that look like?
Yeah, as we look at that, unfortunately, it's more of a monologue than a dialogue at the moment, because it is just content to be consumed, and then individual work takes place, but that's without having a true official mentor or somebody on the other end helping out. So what we do find, though, Marianne, is many people return to Skylight for personality or individual contributors than they do almost for content. Meaning, if you resonate with a particular personality, then they will consume that individual's playlist, for example, on anxiety or sleep, before they move off to another contributor or creator. And so that's very important. And we've thought how we could kind of bundle this maybe into live streams that we do monthly, or some way to actively participate and be involved with the creator or contributor more meaningfully than just consuming their content. So think of the virtual ways you could do that through webinars. We've also considered getting live in real life opportunities to meet and greet some of the people. We're still thinking through that, because what we don't want to create is a cult of personality, so to speak. We believe it's the principles that are key and important, but we want to leverage the connection that is felt between the user and the contributor to help, again, the user on their spiritual journey.
How do you see Skylight growing as time goes on?
That's a great question, because growth is key and critical as we think about this long-term equation. One of the key things that we know we have to do is syndicate our content. Right now, we have owned platforms, meaning a web app, an iOS app, an Android app. Growth there is almost directly tied to how much budget or ad spend you have to attract people. And we know we have unlimited wants for limited resources there. So we've got to figure out how to be creative. So one thing we're doing is actually providing our app free of charge on many third-party app stores. There are third-party app stores that you can get on and be offered. The other thing we are doing is syndicating our content into wellness apps or solutions for emotional or physical or mental health, where they want to be holistically true to themselves, but they don't have the content. So we have, again, 550 plus pieces of content that they could choose from, they could vet from to put on their app or their offering. We provide that to them at low cost or free of charge. We basically just want to recoup what it costs to produce the content, and then we give it to them. So again, as we think about future growth, it's through partnerships, through syndication, and those are going to be the key ways that we make a difference, I think, in this world.
So, what are some of your favorite practices on Skylight?
Yeah, I again, I'm a religious person, so I have my traditional prayers and other things that I do, but I love to augment what I do in my faith tradition with many things that are on the app. I love the meditations. I love being able to just it's work. So I don't want this to be taken the wrong way when I say sit back and relax, because it is still work. But I love to hear the words, the soothing words, either watch the contributor or just put it on audio and just listen to the contributor go through that meditation. It gives me a chance to be introspective, to slow my heart rate, my breathing, to really impact my physical state literally in 3 to 5 minutes. So I have some favorite contributors as well. Sade is a contributor we have, a woman out of Los Angeles, that area. And she adds humor, but appropriate humor into everything she does. And she's just really relatable. And so I love that about her.
So much great things to be learned by using Skylight, and that connection is so important. My goodness, John. So, where can people learn more about Skylight and join and sign up today?
Yeah, so if you want to download Skylight, you can easily go to skylight.org, and that will give you an option to participate, again, free of charge. You can go to either the Android or iOS App Store and type in Skylight Spiritual Wellness, and you will find the Skylight app. It's kind of a round orb in blue, just so you know it when you see the logo, but it should be very apparent. Again, free of charge. All of this content is available, and we would very much recommend that people, if you enjoy it, please give us a review on the App Store. And again, if there are things that you don't like about it or things that could be more accessible to you or more applicable to you, please let us know that as well, because we're doing this for an audience 18 to 35, and we want to make a difference. So help us become better.
And while it's for the audience 18 to 35, it's available for everybody?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do mention that a lot, that anyone can use this. It's applicable. I'm a Gen Xer. I use it daily. But again, when we talk about a target audience, it is those 18 to 35. But again, it's universal. It's applicable to anyone.
Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thanks, Marianne. Appreciate your content.
Well, thank you, John. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about Skylight. If you'd like to learn more about Skylight and how you can sign up, visit skylight.org for more information to start your own spiritual and well-being journey. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.